then would send them unwanted pictures of himself without any clothes on. A fight in Indianapolis ended with a man dead. It happened on Clifton Street near 29th Street on the northwest side Tuesday night. Police say the fight was between a man and a woman, and the man collapsed. He was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. 28 counties in Indiana still have coronavirus positivity rates above 10%, says the Indiana Department of Health. 1,349 Hoosiers are in a hospital with the virus. That's 15 more than the day before, and the first increase in COVID hospitalizations in 15 days.
We've got some computer issues going on, so we're just going to jump in on Coffee Club this morning. Welcome to everyone out there, and welcome to our guest here in the studio. We have Kayla Siebold.
That's right.
From West Washington, and she is the drama coach,
the drama club director, the head director. Okay. We've got kind of a whole team now. So.
All right, and also joined here in the studio, we've got co-host Brad Gilbert from Walmart, and you guys are here to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Kanan Root.
And I'm Gabriel Porter.
All right, good morning, guys.
Morning.
And anyway, we've got lots to talk about this morning. It's cold.
Yeah,
probably the main thing. You had a frost advisory. Did you have frost out your way?
No, I didn't. But well, a little bit in different places. It depended on how the wind. I mean, that's it, how it settled. But wasn't any on the vehicle though, so it was covered.
The windows were kind of,
yes,
I don't know, steamy. Which I didn't want to get in because no one, having just watched the Halloween movie,
right.
You don't get in the vehicle if the windows are steamed up from
the
inside.
Right, yeah.
Why do people not understand that?
I don't know. It's like that commercial that, it's like all these people, and when it comes to horror film, everybody makes the wrong decisions, Let's don't get into the renting car. Let's head to the barn with the chainsaw.
So just for anybody out there listening, do not get in a car, especially late at night if the windows are fogged up from the inside, because that means somebody's in there.
Somebody's in there, yes, that is correct. So,
little tips.
Wise words.
Top 10 things you can learn from these movies.
They're good for something, then.
Yes, that's true. I think now with people kind of still leery to go back to the theaters, that they're just pulling it, trying to get anything out there. But it's a good time to, I guess, come up with a movie and sell it, because you'd probably be able to.
Might work out.
Anyway, so you guys have got a big production coming up at West Washington.
That's right. Speaking of horror movies, we are doing Dracula out at West Washington this coming weekend, Halloween weekend.
Awesome. And this is one of the first horror stories, Bram Stoker's Dracula. What year did that come out?
Well, you'd think as an English teacher I would know that answer, but I have no idea.
I was in the 1800s, I think. Right?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go with that.
During the Victorian.
Yeah, right around the Victorian era. If I'm wrong, please nobody come after me, but definitely been around a while.
I am. It's worth a go.
And I was a literature student up at IU, and so many guys and girls in the class, they would go and watch the Universal movies and to take the test, and they're completely different.
That is right.
What a shock.
That is right.
May 26th, 1897.
Okay, all right. You were right. I just agreed with you.
Well, that came out, and then there was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which if you watch the movie, it's completely different.
Right. I know.
And Young Frankenstein.
You guys read that, right?
Yeah. It's a step above.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So what are the times of the show this week?
Okay, so we are going to have 3 performances this weekend. The first performance is Friday night at 7:30, and then it is again on Saturday at 7:30, and our final performance is Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Cool. And what version will you be doing? Is it based on the?
We are doing. Well, yes, it is based on the original story, and we're doing William McNulty's version, which is the same version that they have done at Actors Theater in Louisville for several years. Actors Theater has kind of held off with COVID, and they haven't had a in-person performance of Dracula since, I guess, 2019, I guess would be the last time that they had a live performance of Dracula. And we really liked that version, thought that we could maybe take our spin on it, and we were able to secure the rights, and we're pretty excited about it.
Cool. How has this been different than anything else you've done?
Oh my goodness. This particular show has so many special effects and so many moving parts. And I say that, it seems like with every show, we're always adding more and more special effects. But this one is just unbelievable. There's blood that we have to make sure it lands in the correct places and goes where it's supposed to go and doesn't go where it's not supposed to go, and then starts to be seen at the correct moment. We have lights, we have fog machines. All of that has to be timed out just right. We have music that goes along in the background, because we all know that if we've ever seen a scary movie, the music really can kind of make or break the intensity of the moment.
You don't
So,
want to take one in the wrong spot, right?
right. Or not have it in a moment where you really need it, and then there's just silence. Silence can be helpful sometimes, but sometimes you really need the noise. So it's just a lot of moving pieces.
I'm sure the practices for this have been interesting.
Yes, well, I've got Cannon Roop here, and I've got Gabriel Porter here. Do you guys want to talk about rehearsals and how things have been going with that?
Rehearsals, let's just say, have been a workout. Like, I feel like this is the most, like, I'm in sports, but oh my gosh, the practices, I was sweating like crazy yesterday. Like, it's insane.
Good deal. What's been the challenge? What's been like the biggest challenge?
For me, it's just how physical the show is in general. Because, like, I get thrown around a bit in the show, and I'm not like a very tough man. So I'm out here getting bruised all over. I'm basically a peach, you know. Just
And who are you in the fight?
I'm Renfield.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's a good part.
It really is. I feel like
Don't even
Dracula and Renfield are really kind of our two main roles, and a lot of people don't even know who Renfield is if you haven't read Dracula. But if you're unfamiliar with his character, just wait. You'll be pleasantly surprised, I think.
Do you eat a rat?
Well,
Don't give away any of our secrets, Gabriel.
Is this the Ozzy Osbourne edition of Dracula?
I don't think anybody's going to be coming after us for animal cruelty or anything like that.
I'm kind of deathly terrified of rats. So
Okay.
Okay. All right. And what's your character?
I play Dracula.
Okay.
Awesome.
And that's probably like, this is probably the hardest part I've done, because usually I'm like the comic relief, so all I do is take a few blows, make quips the entire play. And this one I'm like, oh crap, I actually got to be mean.
It's probably been a big workout for your arms and all that flapping.
I mean, not really. Just like, I know what.
You're a tough crowd this morning.
Do you actually, and this may be a stupid question, but do you transform him at all?
Oh yes. Dracula is definitely a shapeshifter, so he has many different forms that he takes.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. What got you to, I mean, you've done Wizard of Oz,
Mhm.
you seem like you go a little bit, you're not afraid to take.
No, we're.
challenge, but-
I have found that when in theater, when you take a risk, for us so far, fingers crossed, it has paid off for us in a big way. It really pushes the students to do something challenging, and they tend to rise to that challenge. And I think audiences enjoy a little bit of a wow factor, and if you don't give them a little bit of a wow factor, then they get kind of tuned out. So if we can find shows that are exciting and have surprises, then our audience is very pleased in the end.
I can see that. Now, for those out there that might not be familiar, can you give just a short synopsis of what the story is about?
Sure. So Dracula takes place at an asylum in Great Britain in the late 1800s, and Count Dracula, who we don't know is a vampire yet, has arrived from Transylvania, and he has taken up residence in Carfax Abbey. And after he moves in, some strange occurrences start happening at the asylum and the surrounding community. We have some people who go missing. And then along comes Professor Van Helsing, who was called in to investigate the situation. And Van Helsing has some knowledge of vampires. And once the professor arrives, the professor kind of puts everything together, and before we know it, we're on the hunt for a vampire.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really a cool story.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and Van Helsing was the original vampire hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it's not what's the guy's name that plays Wolverine.
Oh, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman
Yes.
was I think he was Van Helsing.
That was a
Yes.
weird movie. Weird movie.
I've never seen that movie.
He turns into a werewolf at the end of the movie.
There's,
I'm like,
yeah, it
Spoiler alert.
tries to sew together
It's like a
everything,
decade
you know. It's the Dracula in there with the werewolf.
Speaking of reboots, they tried to reboot some of these monster movies, and they made The Mummy with I think Tom Cruise was in it, and they showed like the creature from the Black Lagoon's hand. There was supposed to be there was a reference to the different ones, and that was supposed to get a series going, but I think that it didn't do very well, so they just kind of canned it. So, but I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're just out to be a money maker. And the version that you picked, does it differ from the story, the original story at all?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I am kind of unfamiliar with the original story, but I feel like every version of Dracula that I've looked into has its own little twist, and this particular version was adapted specifically for the stage. So I think that there are definitely some alterations from the original that make it fit a little bit with the needs of a stage production versus a movie, or even just the original book, where you can do whatever you want in a book because it's all happening in your reader's imagination.
When did you first get the idea to do this? This was one you wanted to do next?
Well, I have to say that one of my assistant directors, Hannah Ledgerwood, she was very adamant that we should do it this year, and I was a little bit more hesitant about it, but she convinced me that we could do it, and I think that she was right. But I've been taking the drama club to Actors Theater in Louisville to see Dracula since I took over with the program 12 years ago. So there's been a few years that we've missed, but almost on the regular, every year that they've had a Dracula performance, I've taken students. And that has by far been one of my favorite things I've ever done, because Actors Theater is great. They know we're a school group. They always manage to get us really close to the front row, if not directly in the front row. And I always put my students right there where I know they're going to be scared. And so I spend a lot of time during that performance watching my students instead of the performance, because I like watching them get scared. Because if you've ever been to the one at Actors Theater, it's like going to a haunted house.
Oh, yeah.
It's very intense. I hope ours is as intense.
Oh, sure. It's very interactive. I mean,
Yeah.
It is.
They're in the audience down there. Haven't seen that several times. Did that influence how you're doing this?
Yes, it definitely did influence it. Our setup and our stage is vastly different from theirs, so we've had to make lots of things our own, but I was very inspired by some of their staging and some of their blocking, and you can see what works for them. And so I wanted to try and take what I'd seen there and try and recreate that for us as much as possible, because their execution of the show is just, it's perfection.
Speaking
really.
of your facility, you've done all the upgrades.
Mhm,
So you guys have got, with that enhancement, so to speak, is that made it even better that you can take your production to the next level?
Absolutely. If we didn't have the facility that we have now, we couldn't do this production. We have the lights. We were working with them last night, weren't we, guys?
Yep.
During Tech Week, we were, putting things together and taking some looks at things, and we realized that we had some things that didn't look quite right, so we started messing with the lights to see what we could change. And our lighting system, we made a few quick changes, and it made a ton of difference in a lot of scenes. The lighting really allows us to have a lot of those special effects, to use the strobe lighting to kind of disorient the audience a little bit so that we can have different things happening on stage that they might not notice right away. Also, the fact that we have gone in and turned it into essentially a black box theater, where we've painted the majority of the room solid black, it really gives us that darkness that we need for a show like this, because if we weren't able to leave the audience in complete darkness at times, it would really take away from the whole mood of everything.
It's pretty cool. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned the blood. Is that, do you make your own, or did you have to buy something special?
Well, we've purchased some. We've taken some fruit juices that we're going to be using in some scenes to use that as blood. And we're going to be making some blood also. Really, you have to have about 5 or 6 different kinds of blood for the various parts. Because some of the blood that I've purchased looks really great for on people's skin or on clothing, but it very clearly says on the bottle, do not put in your mouth. So we have other scenes where we need blood to be coming out of someone's mouth, so we have to use the right stuff in those instances.
That's a whole industry right there, isn't
It really is. It really is. I'm glad that our fall play matches up with Halloween so well, because it was.
Some of the chemistry kids involved.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't do any of that this year.
Bottle of ketchup.
Yeah, they have. I think Becky talked.
Yeah.
Heinz.
Heinz has a blood kit thing.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
So will like the front row be like a Gallagher concert where they get splattered or?
No blood spatter out into the
I
audience.
don't think the 2 kids understood that
Go
reference.
to YouTube and type in Gallagher.
Isn't that the
Okay.
dude with the like sledgehammer?
Oh,
Yes, that's
see,
what
see,
you meant.
see?
Yep.
Gabe knows.
That
Gabe
just
knows.
that shows you right there. You're doing a great job at West Washington.
I've seen Family Guy. They made,
Oh, that's how you
they
learn.
made the rest.
Family Guy teaches
Well,
everything.
okay. We'll credit West Washington
I
with
don't
that.
know
though.
that. That's an educational reference.
Already didn't taught me about it. I thought.
Also, it's not to take crap from a chicken either.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, I feel like we've gone down a weird rabbit
Yeah, we
hole.
have. So I'll ask either one of you guys can answer the question. Other than your bruises, we'll exclude those. What has been the most challenging part of your particular character that you didn't think you would be challenged in that way, but you learned a little bit about yourself as a performer?
Part of it is just knowing kind of when you need to be intense, but also drag out the intensity. You know, like sometimes you need to just go get it, and then other times you need to drag it out and let the audience feel the kind of tension in the room. And like doing that, it's just you gotta know when to do it and when not to. So
For me, it's just being mean because like I'm really nice and like I'm like all right, and like that's why like for auditions I put Dracula for the part that I wanted because I'm like I want to challenge myself this time. I don't want to like just do the same old, and then I'm like I'm kind of proud of myself now. I'm like I can actually be mean.
So he kind of chuckles with that. So my question is, follow-up question to that: are you really as nice, or are you just trying to convince us all you're that nice? We're on radio. So this young man right here is shaking his head no.
Gabe will tell you otherwise, but that's just because he's my best friend. So he's gonna just pretend like I'm not that.
he's really cruel. Don't listen.
No, Cannon really is a nice guy.
Now, does what have you been? What year are you guys in school? What are you?
We're both seniors.
Okay, so you've been in plays all 4 years.
Yep.
Awesome. Do you see maybe doing this in life, or do you just
I'd like to go on, continue like looking at it, and once I get to college, do some there, and then see where I'm at after those few years.
have you been involved in the technical side as well as acting, or just?
Somewhat. I mean, I've looked at technical stuff, but I'm more interested in the acting part of it all.
I mean, in this, the technical is going to be almost as important actor as the actress.
It really is. It really is. We
Or
have
people, I should say, maybe people.
we have 4 fog machines that we're using in this show, and every fog machine has to have a kid in control of that particular fog machine. We have,
Now that could go bad.
yeah, well,
Because
And-
I know a 15-year-old West Washington student that probably would go bad. we had those motions. So.
We go over the rules very clearly, but I hope it goes well. And then we have one student who is running mics. We have another student who is running the lights. We have several students who are working with a projector that we're using to do part of our background. And then we have a whole nother set of students who are simply backstage to help move set pieces on and off. So I would say our tech crew is almost the same size as our on-stage crew. So it's a
Now,
big group.
like the lights and things like that, is there software that controls those now?
Yes, there is software that controls that now, which we are so thankful for, because 12 years ago when I took over, we were literally flipping breakers with every free finger. It would take like 2 kids with every one of their 10 fingers on a breaker to just flip the lights off so that it happened at once. And it was like a light switch. It was just off and on. But goodness, how long ago has it been? 3 years? 4 years? Do you guys remember when we got the new lights?
Didn't we get them like our freshman year?
I think it was your freshman year. So we've had them about 4 years. So we've had software that has controlled the lights for about 4 years. And every year it seems like we figure out something new and better that we can do with them.
I mean, 30 years ago, I remember at the Salem Middle School, they had a board, and you were in there, and you ran the lights, and if you're talking to somebody, you missed the cue.
Oh, yeah.
And now there's so many more distractions, so I can only imagine, but when you're here, you're all business.
Yes. It takes a little convincing for everyone to understand just how serious running the technical stuff is. I think sometimes people come in and think, oh, it'll be easy. I'll just like flip this switch. And then we get into it and they're like, oh my goodness, I really have to be paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, now you've got a watch that buzzes, and you look at your watch, or you feel your phone vibrate in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully everything goes well for Dracula. And how do they get tickets?
Okay, so we are only selling tickets at the door this time, and they are $10 a piece for everyone. And you can just purchase those at the door. There's no need to make reservations for this particular show. That may be different come springtime, but for this show, we're just selling them at the door.
Okay. Have you already decided what you're going to do next spring?
That's kind of a secret.
But
okay, well, all right. Okay, so
I think
I have my two
we
seniors
can
here.
We can get it out of them.
all right. Are you guys
Just
excited? Excited? Okay, we're gonna do Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So
goodness.
I'm excited that Gabe has been on me to know what the musical is going to be in the spring, maybe since last semester, before we even went to summer break. So I've kept it a secret from him until just now.
Well, and I've been suggesting that particular musical since 8th grade or so.
So we're not doing Rocky Horror Picture.
We are not doing Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. So,
Did they make the high school version of
They do not. We're going to stick with Willy Wonka and the
Yes.
Chocolate Factory.
Greg, you're not helping right now. No, actually. Anyway, so I have a question for you. So, what other things besides drama do you guys do in school?
Well, we're both involved in BPA, doing broadcast news for that.
Okay.
And then we're also both involved in West Washington Golf. So,
Yeah, because you had mentioned sports, so I was. Yeah.
And Cannon also runs cross country
And wrestling.
and does wrestling.
And
So
hosting.
and HOSA. He's a busy kid.
what's hosted for them?
It's like BPA, but for health professions. So it's a competition for health.
Okay. Is that something you want to go into the health field?
I think it's just fun to do.
Okay.
Thus, he's Dracula, and he likes the blood part of it. So it makes sense.
Football,
So-
maybe?
yeah. So in West Washington normally has kids that are involved in this, that are involved in sports and do a lot of things. So, but has there been a kid this year that tried out for a part you didn't think that they kind of came out of nowhere, that you didn't think they'd be interested, and then they're just just embracing everything, and some of the drama may be new to them, or
We do have several new students this year, or younger students who've never had a speaking role necessarily before. So we have several students who fall into that category. Gabe and Cannon are our only two seniors, and so that's a pretty small senior group. And so that means that everybody else who's in the show is essentially an underclassman. I'm sitting here trying to think who we have who is a junior. I kind of lose track of exactly who's in. We only have two juniors, Evelyn and Anna. I thought that it was low numbers there. So the majority of our cast is a sophomore, freshman, and then we even have some 8th graders and 7th graders who are in some big roles. So we're a young group. So everybody is very much learning, and I feel like at every practice I have somebody who surprises me, who has come a long way since the week before.
How do you choose? Do you have tryouts, or do you just kind of think, oh, that this will be perfect for this student, and I would like you to do this, or
we definitely have auditions. As a directing group, myself, Hannah Ledgerwood, and Sarah Burks, we do kind of discuss shows, because going into it, you have to make sure that you have the right numbers, you have the right kind of ratio of boys to girls as far as the type of show that it is. But then when we go into auditions, we go in with an open mind. And every time it seems like we wind up with someone who surprises us that we didn't really see it coming, or we wind up with several kids who are just so good for one part that it makes it really hard to narrow it down to who should get it, because we just have so many who would be great.
I mean, yeah, I can see you might have a preconceived idea of who you kind of want, and that's probably goes for sports and other things too. And then when they go into tryout, there's somebody that you think, wow,
Oh yeah,
that person.
especially when I have students who work on their singing. Particularly, I have students who'll take vocal lessons or will just join a church choir or something, and so they'll spend a lot of time away from us working on their singing, and then they'll come back to audition for that musical, and it'll be just like, oh my goodness, you didn't sing like this last year. And sometimes even just the confidence that they have acquired over, growing, maturing, being involved in previous shows. And maybe they were really quiet before, but now they finally have found their confidence, and that can make a big difference in an audition as well.
It's interesting to see them move along from freshman to senior.
It really is. I tell Gabe and Cannon here all the time how much they've grown and matured since they were little 7th graders who used to bother me. It was like their favorite pastime.
And they just both lit up with that excitement that they actually bothered you. When you said bothered, they both just absolutely lit up. So
I've always
they're just
loved
like,
them.
yes,
But there used to
yes.
be times when I would tell them, be like, you both have to go away now. I have to have some separation from the two of you for a little while.
Maybe,
But now they can hang out with me all the time.
maybe she just gets more tolerant.
Yeah. You wore her down finally. It's like, okay, fine. So which one of you two is the biggest prankster? Or is there someone else in the group that's a bigger prankster?
We got a kid named Gypsy Snyder. I'd like to shout out here. He's a bit of a hooligan, if you will. He'll do some jokes on you if you're not keeping a steady eye on him.
That sounds about like Gypsy.
Yeah, you gotta be careful you just gotta be careful with them.
Don't trust Gypsy with the blood. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
I think, if I recall, at Actors Theater, they talk about how many gallons that they go through in a performance. Is that horrible?
I'm not sure yet, to be completely honest. Today's the day that we start with the blood. I've been nervous to do it because it will stain our costumes if we're not extra careful. So I wanted to make sure we had backup costumes in case we ruin something that we didn't mean to ruin. And so I've held off a little bit to avoid having any mistakes. And with a show like this that uses something like blood, our budget is limited, and even just getting supplies here if we run out. So we've been kind of really careful with our stash and only using what we need when we absolutely have to use it. So
I think the Red Cross probably has that.
It was, yes.
Same thing with this, or did you have to?
No, we have pieced together all of the costumes for this ourselves. My assistant directors are really fantastic when it comes to costumes. Hannah Ledgerwood is a fantastic seamstress, and then her sister Sarah Burks that helps us is a wizard with the hot glue gun. And throw me in there with what little I can do in regards to costumes. We've managed to either order or create a costume piece for every student, with some kids throwing some things in. Always, especially with boys, if you can get some dress pants that fit you, like, that'll help us out a lot. We'd really rather not have to make you any dress pants. So with all of that combined, we've managed to get everyone a costume.
That's good. Hannah is amazing.
She really is.
Just a little, she sang the national anthem, as Mike King said, Acapulco at our grand reopening. He knew the difference, but he was trying to be funny, and it was just like, yeah, it's not that funny today, Mike. But anyway, so she is amazing. So we're I didn't know she was a seamstress, so now I'm
oh yes, yeah. She can make just about anything, and if she can't make it, Sarah can hot glue it together. They're a team.
Even more that you guys are doing this out of school.
Oh yes, yeah. We're not a class. This is a totally extracurricular thing. Our students stay after to rehearse. They stay after for everything, doing our show. So there's not time carved out in our school day for this. This is all after school.
That just shows the dedication of everybody involved.
Absolutely. And it really does take a lot of dedication. I mean, we've been rehearsing since the beginning of September. So almost every single school day that if we've had school, pretty much we've had rehearsal.
So when this is over this weekend, will you start then working towards?
Not quite right away. Everybody's going to need a little bit of a break. This is actually the earliest that we've ever done a fall show. We usually do it toward the end of November, usually right before Thanksgiving. So we've kind of lost a few weeks of rehearsal that we normally would have. But at the same time, I think that everybody might be a little excited that we're going to have, if you've been involved in drama since 7th grade, this is really going to be like the first Thanksgiving in several years that you're not going to have, oh my goodness, I have to be rehearsing my lines while you're on holiday break. So I don't know if you're excited about that, but I'm kind of looking forward to that. So yeah.
This would probably be one that you need to take some time because you're going to be exhausted by Sunday night.
I may or may not be filling out a personal day form for Monday when I get to work today. So
yeah, we need to talk to Keith. Hey, come on now. Come on now. Let's take good care of her.
Oh, they're great out there. It won't be a problem. But and who knows? It may be such a great run that I may just throw that paper away and say,
yeah. You may be so energized by the time Sunday gets around, you won't be able to sleep Sunday night. You're just like, I'm headed back to school.
It's always that way on Friday night. You'd think that we would be so exhausted having gone to school and then rehearsed for a little while and then performed, but it never fails. I don't know about you guys, but when I get home on Friday night after a show, I'm just like awake and I'm like, let's go do it again because I'm just so excited.
I'm like, okay, let's go to Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys, like some sports teams, do you meet afterwards and go over?
Usually not right afterwards, but we do talk about it before the performance on the next day.
Now, when you're not the drama directors, what you teach? You say you teach English?
I do. I teach 8th grade English.
Awesome. What type of things do you do? What period? Do you do different periods or
Well, with our junior high right now, for the English classes, we have a block schedule. So I see all of my 8th grade students in a 90-minute block. They're split into 3 groups. So I have 3 groups of 8th graders, and I get them every day for 90 minutes. So I have a really large chunk of time that I get to spend with those 8th graders. Yeah.
You do you do different periods of literature?
Okay. Well, with the 8th grade, particularly this year, they do American history in their 8th grade year. That's part of their social studies standard for 8th grade. So this particular year, I'm working pretty closely with our social studies teacher in the junior high, Mr. Lewis, and I'm trying to read novels that match up with the time period in history that they're studying in their social studies class. So we just finished reading the novel My Brother Sam is Dead, which is about the Revolutionary War, and that matched up perfectly with what they were studying in social studies. And we've been doing a lot of cross-curricular stuff together because of that. We actually had a mock battle of the shot heard around the world and the battle at Lexington and Concord, and we had some kids who were the Redcoats and some kids who were the Patriots, and it was a lot of fun.
I'll never be a Patriot. Oh wait, we're not talking about football. Sorry about that. Yes, I digress with that. So 8th graders are tough. No offense. There's a lot going on in junior high. You change a lot walking into junior high. Trust me, I've been through that recently. So, but when it comes to, what do you think that, what about English literature, what you teach in junior high, what do you think there's anything that helps spark the kids' interest in drama, things like that? And I mean, is it prolific readers that end up wanting to do things like that, or is it just the fact that you get them excited by it just because of being the
I think
drama?
it's a little bit of both. I have some students who come to drama who are just they show up ready to go. They've wanted to do this since they were in elementary. They had older siblings who did this and they saw them, or older cousins, or they just came and saw a show as an elementary student and they fell in love with it right away. That was me when I was in elementary school. My mom took me to see the Phantom of the Opera when I was in the 1st grade. I don't really know why she chose that particular show but I remember it vividly. I remember everything about it, and I don't even know how old you are in 1st grade. You're not very old, 6 or 7. And I just saw that and I was like, that was awesome. I want to do that. Like, I want to be involved in that in some way. And so when I came home, I just wanted to be involved in theater. So some kids, I think, just have that natural drive. Other students, I feel like you have to kind of pull it out of them. I always have at least a couple of students that I always joke around that I forced them to be in drama. I saw something in them and I just kind of asked them until they finally gave in and then joined us for a performance. And once they do, they're always happy that they did, and they usually stick around.
So how young were you guys when you decided that you wanted to give it a try?
Well, the first year I did drama was 5th grade. Yeah.
What was your first role?
I think his name was Matthew Charisma. It was the kids' version of And Then There Were None. So it was called And Then There Was One. And the plot twist that was no one died because it was a kid show. So it was like, and like I didn't even like have an interest in like plays and stuff. But like my 5th grade teacher, Miss Stewart, was like, "Hey, I think you should do like drama." And like I was a super quiet kid back then, and I'm like, boy, I am not a quiet kid now.
So that was a way to get you out of your shell.
Yeah.
There you go. What was your first step into the world of acting?
Well, my sister, shout out to Amanda Porter, she was in drama for pretty much her entire high school career. So I'd like go to every show 3 nights a week. I'd be like, yo, this is all going so good. And then about 6th grade, one of my teachers was like, yo, you should just look at this. And I was like, yeah, okay, I will.
Okay.
I'll do it, but just for you.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks. That was an exciting. Oh,
So at your Academy Award acceptance speech, make sure you tell that story and do the shout out and say to the teacher, yo, the teacher says yo. So I think that is absolutely.
The teacher said yo.
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
So like,
The teacher was like, yo. And I was like, I got you.
I got you. I'm pretty sure that's not what
That's
happened.
exactly what we said.
Who are some of the other cast members?
Well, we have Gabe as Renfield and Cannon as Dracula, and then Ellie Struther is our Professor Van Helsing. We have a lady Professor Van Helsing. And then we have Gypsy Snyder is Jonathan Harker, and Sam Scott is Dr. Seward. Caitlin, Wingler. Caitlin Wingler is Miss Sullivan, the doctor's assistant. Logan Collins is Briggs, another one of the doctor's assistants.
We have Mina and
We do. Mina Grant, we kind of are in a limbo situation with that. We have a student who is currently quarantined for some COVID reasons, so we've had to pull some students up with that. So our Mina, right now, we have 2 potential Minas, and we have that in Samantha Bowers and in Sarah Scott. So we're working with that to figure out how that's all going to play out, but we have plans. And then we have Lucy Westfall, who's played by Chloe Gramlin. And we have a whole slew of vampire brides. We've got Abby Ferguson and Lacey Webb and Evelyn Loffmiller. And then Sarah Scott is also kind of thrown in there with that. I feel like I'm for certain leaving somebody out, but it's not on purpose. I just don't have the list in front of me. So if I left you out, student, I'm really sorry, and we still love you.
have you ever thought, and I don't know if this would even be a possibility, but have you ever had the idea of just having a different, having someone as a cameo in like different plays, like maybe Mr. Nance or
Well,
Funny story.
we had that completely planned out. We were going to do The Little Mermaid in 2020, and we were about 2 weeks away from performance when the school had to close down for the first outbreak of COVID. And so we had a big plan to have Mr. Nance as King Triton in that show. He'd been rehearsing with us for months, and we tried to reschedule, but unfortunately that show just didn't pan out. As things kind of went along, we found ourselves in more challenging situations than we could have ever imagined when that started. So we wound up having to table that particular show. But you never know when we might be pulling a teacher out of their comfort zone and having them be a little cameo role.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, we were pretty excited about that one. I think Mr. Nance was pretty excited, and he'd been rehearsing and it was going well.
Now, did he have a singing part in that, or just
King Triton definitely sings.
okay?
Like that was going to be part of it.
Yeah,
Part of
everybody
it.
missed out on that.
Yeah, and I remember him coming on and talking about that. So he was excited about that. Yeah.
That was last year. Was did that delay getting this started? This COVID. I mean, I know there's been quarantine things. But
Right. Well, with last school year, in our fall production, we did have a fall show last year, but we wound up having to record that. We didn't actually perform for an audience. So we did Almost Maine last fall, but we just recorded it. Mr. Akers and our live stream team helped us out with that, and we got that recorded so that the families and anyone else who wanted to see it could view it. But just a recording. And then last spring we did Once Upon a Mattress, and that musical was pretty close to being back to normal. We followed certain guidelines and we sort of changed some things up, but in the end the performances wound up feeling pretty normal. And then this is actually our first play, not a musical, that we'll be doing in front of an audience in 2 years.
I was thinking of Lace was the last one.
Yes, it was. Yes.
That was-
Yeah, that was the last play that we did in front of an
were
audience.
you guys in that?
Yes. Well, I played my favorite character in that.
Oh my goodness, I was really hoping we wouldn't have to do this on the radio.
Who was okay? Who was
Okay, it was Officer O'Hara,
okay?
and so like
Oh my goodness.
he's supposed to be just this cop, but he's also a playwright.
Yes, yeah.
So then he goes on to explain his play.
Yes.
It's so funny. He was just like boring, but I improvised a lot of stuff for him.
Cannon's favorite role ever, and he still quotes the lines almost on a daily basis.
Every day.
And
He slips out of Dracula into that, right?
pretty much.
What did you play?
I was Jonathan Brewster,
Okay.
who's also a crazy guy. I'm just what you would call a crazy guy.
Crazy.
Oh, that was Caleb Murphy. Caleb Murphy was our Teddy. Yeah.
Wait, no, Teddy was.
No,
Colson.
oh, that was right.
Yeah.
That was Colson. Colson Henry was
Yeah.
Teddy. I forgot because his name.
And
He
kept
just
going
thinks
into
he's
a
Teddy
Russian
Roosevelt.
accent.
That's right. That's right.
And you guys were here before that, right?
Yes, we
So
were.
did you come to the radio before that? Because I don't remember. I remember you came when
Right,
I
I
was
think-
here.
I
Gabe, you
did.
came,
Yeah.
but Cannon didn't. We had Gabe and then our seniors who were in
Yeah.
that show were here
It was
for
like
that.
Caleb, Sammy, and Zoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caleb, Sammy, and Zoe.
That's actually.
Because I actually went. I went to that performance, and I didn't realize that was the last one in front of an
That was
audience.
the last play that we did in
Yeah.
front of an audience. We did get the musical in last year, but
Yeah.
it's been a while.
People consider that as a Halloween story, but I.
Oh, it totally works for Halloween.
Yeah. If you're killing people, it's probably Halloween.
Well,
Mysteries and
the-
Halloweeny shows, audiences tend to like those.
We've done several murder mysteries.
We have done lots of murder
And I get
mysteries.
decapitated by a candlestick in clear, which I don't understand the physics of that at all.
Yeah.
There's probably the same physics involved in the Halloween
Probably so.
How does he take out an entire town? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Candlestick that's got a knife in the center of the candlestick. Right?
And sharp on the side.
Yeah.
Well, how did it get established? And maybe this is just tradition that schools do, that like a serious play in the fall and then a musical in the spring.
Well,
Is that just
as far as I know, West Washington has always done 2 shows. They were doing that when I was hired. And I actually think that before I took over drama, they were doing the musical in the fall and then just a regular straight show in the spring. But at the time, I was coaching volleyball when I took over drama, and there was no way on planet Earth I was going to be able to do a musical in the fall because that's volleyball season. So I flip-flopped them. And I don't coach volleyball any longer, but I've just kind of kept the same pattern.
So what do you two like best? Do you like just you like the musicals best, or do you like just play?
I like the idea of musicals. If I could sing, then I'd really be down with it. But I mean, not quite there yet. So
like they did with me? They just put you away in the back.
yeah, I'm just.
You lip sync.
Now, Gabe.
That's right.
You sang in Once Upon a Mattress.
I did, and for those 3 minutes, I'm sure the audience hated to cover their ears.
No.
Which is your favorite?
Oh, the plays. That's why I'm like, it kind of sucks that this is like the last week and then it's the performance and then it's the musical, but I love the musicals too. It's fun. Like, it sucked, like, my sophomore year because my dad's like, you can't do the musical this year, it's Little Mermaid. And then I'm like, what? And then COVID hit, so it doesn't matter.
Well, and so Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon.
Saturday evening and Sunday afternoon.
So Friday night, I know West Washington's got a football game.
They
But
do.
if you don't want to be outside in the cold, come
That's
see
right.
you guys.
Yep.
Right? It's going to be
Correct.
nice and warm.
You don't have any conflicts with actors that are
I don't have any football players that are in drama this year. Usually I have some, but it just happens that this year we don't have that overlap. I do have a cheerleader who is going to be missing the game on Friday, but we've known that was a possibility for a while. So we've worked that out. But hopefully the football team will be winning on Friday night, and she'll be back out there cheering the next weekend. So that's the game plan anyway.
Boy, and we got Senator Sam
Oh
right
yeah, I
here.
forgot. And we got Senator Sam over here.
Wow.
So
I
he's
finally
gonna-
see
he's
who
gonna
is
be
behind
missing.
because going to all the football games, I'm like, Senator Sam, Senator Sam.
Senator Sam, I think has been masked for some games.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I've been doing it since 7th grade.
How is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of at a loss, so I don't know what's
We're
going on.
gonna have to pass the.
Literally, I didn't even like want to do it. They just asked me to, and I'm like, sure.
Well, I think it's we were, and this is funny, but I was actually I had told Keith Nance one night that we were sitting in the stands. We were talking about it doesn't matter where you sit. It feels like Senator Sam is like looking at you during the thing, because it's like
the way the mask is, you can only see through like one eye hole, so the face could be like looking over here, and my face could be like
yeah. So it's just like yeah. Hey, what's
It's
going on?
probably felt good the last couple of games.
Oh yeah,
It's chilly then. But so how did they choose the next Senator Sam?
I don't know, because they didn't really choose me. They just asked, "Hey, you want to do this for tonight?" And I'm
Do
like,
you
"Sure."
do that at basketball games too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, who do we want to cover their head and face? So
Well, and
is
it's
that how
funny
that
too
worked out?
because Cannon was a lot shorter when he started as Senator Sam. So if you've been
And a little
following
chunky.
the progression of Senator Sam the last several years, he's been growing a lot
I've been-
taller every
I've
year.
been at all the football games for the last, so Grayson McCoy is my name.
Oh really?
Yeah. I hate to admit that. Actually, no, he's a good kid. Takes after something. But anyway, so I've seen Senator Sam. So it's funny you say that because now it's like he has grown. He has grown.
Yes, yes.
And then they get the tickets at the door. So okay, awesome.
Yep.
And then now I have one question on Willy Wonka. I know we don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Let's listen.
Will your tryout songs be Imagination?
Maybe I usually try to have the audition song that kids audition with for the musical be a song that is pretty challenging. So I'll probably have to look at all of the songs that are in the stage show and choose one that is a little more challenging so that I can see how the students react when they're given a difficult song. So it might not necessarily be the most popular song in the show, but it may be the one that could give someone the most fits. So I could see, who's gonna really take charge in that type of situation.
I lied. I want to ask something else.
Okay.
Are the songs the stage version it have more songs in the movie?
It has a few more. Yeah, it has
And
the
I'm
ones from the
talking
movie.
about the old,
Yeah. The one
not the
with-
Johnny Depp, but
no, not the Johnny Depp one.
Never
No.
the trophy.
Let's just forget about that.
It's the old one that people
Tough crowd.
remember.
Tough crowd. But I agree. You're spot on. Absolutely. But,
Yeah, it has all of those plus a few more.
and then you have lots of
Yes. I'm hoping to pull in some elementary students to be our Oompa Loompas.
We're gonna get them addicted to drugs.
That's kind of part of like
It's a
the.
continuous loop.
That's part of my methodology here
Yes,
is if
very
we can get
smart,
elementary
very
involved, it helps to grow our older program.
And any production that you watch from an audience member standpoint, any production you watch with the little kids, they're just so excited and happy. It's like you can't help but just smile.
And also,
Just seeing all
you have little kids involved, you get moms and dads and families to come to the play. So
They
that's
do.
That's always a good
Yeah, and that's important too. I mean, essentially, Drama Club works very much like a business, and if we're not replenishing that bank account, it can get hard. A lot of people don't realize how expensive it is to do a show. Just to get the rights to a musical, it can be anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000 depending on the show.
Now you have to do all the costumes yourself for that.
I'm not sure yet. Sometimes we get really lucky and there's a nearby school who has done the show previously and has costumes that we can either purchase from them or we can rent from them. So we may get lucky in that department.
It's not real. I mean, other than the suit, maybe a hat. He had a top hat.
He did have a top hat and a purple tailcoat. So
Okay, that's
we'll see what we can
you have pretty
find.
good fashion sense as well.
And then the Oompa Loompas for that show will really be one of the big costume things because we'll have to paint up the kids' faces and color their hair or get them wigs or hats of some kind so they look like they have green hair and all of those types of things.
That's what
So
I'm auditioning for.
an Oompa Loompa, you'll be the tallest Oompa Loompa there ever was.
They're like,
He can
it's
walk,
gonna be
on,
like
his,
all these
walk on
short
his
kids
on his knees. He can,
Yeah.
and he'd still be tall.
You've got 2 or 3 months to start practicing and get some voice lessons or whatever to get you to try out for the part. The main, you need to be the main part there.
Yeah, I'll be looking for it. I've talked to Mrs. Hannah Ledgerwood. Little shout out to her again for vocal lessons. So hopefully we can look into that and try to step it up a level.
My favorite scene was the boat scene.
Yes, yes.
That whole sequence was pretty cool.
That scene scared the
Yeah,
crap out of me.
that was like a horror movie right there. I'm like, oh gosh, please, I don't want to go to that job.
But just his lines during that was, I mean, if somebody does that,
That's gonna
Yeah.
freak some people out.
Like in the entire movie, so happy, and then he just goes into this dark place, and I'm like, whoa.
And then in the Johnny Depp one, you got to see his terrible past, and you're like, oh, okay.
That entire movie just scared me.
I have to admit, I've not actually seen the new Johnny Depp version.
No,
it's
of
okay.
It'll
William.
scar your eyes.
I never watched it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not putting that down or anything. Yeah,
You're not losing it.
that'll be a couple hours you wish you would have gotten back. So
Okay,
we're
well
helping.
I'll
We're
just
helping.
stick with the old one.
Yeah.
The one that I remember from when I was a kid.
I really only count that I'm 41 because of the 10 years that I wasted on watching movies.
That you didn't want to watch and were made to watch. Yeah.
Well, as we come to the end of the show, I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank you guys for coming in. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for
You
having
guys
us.
got to give a shout out. It's a tradition. You've given like a couple shout outs to your family and things like that. You know, those around you.
I'd like to shout out all my family members, my dad, mom, sister. I don't have anyone specific to shout out, but everyone I've ever known, you're all great.
This is the Academy Award speech again.
So, yeah.
No, it's just, sometimes moms, dads, grandparents, they like to give a shout out.
Yeah. So Stephanie Lashbrooks and Steve Porter, you're both amazing, good parents, solid. I'll let Kanan shout some people out.
I'd like to give a shout out to Gypsy Snyder. What's up, Gypsy? How are you doing?
I hope Gypsy's in class and not
What if
listening to
he
this
is?
right
You know how funny that would be?
I hope he is listening. I hope
Well,
he's like, oh,
maybe.
there's my guys. Yay.
Oh, am I doing shout outs
Oh,
too?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, shout out to my husband, Josh,
So,
and my mom, and my stepdad, and my
Josh is
dad.
solid.
Yeah, so,
Josh is a solid dude.
all right.
Oh,
All right,
goodness.
all right, we got to give a couple minutes to Brad here. Tell us some news from Walmart.
Well, it's Halloween weekend, so we're still rock and rolling with candy, but we've still got some costumes and we've got things like that ready to go. We're still doing all kinds of food and stuff for any parties that you would have, in addition to passing out the candy. So
Costumes are
going quick.
they went
We
quick.
sold out of the blood, I think. But yeah, they're going great, and it puts us 9 days away from our first sale for our first event. Friday, November 5th is at 5 a.m.
Oh, wow.
is our first event.
In
We're
the
doing
store or online?
it's in store and online, but it's in store. 5 a.m. We're opening at 5 a.m. and that's going to be our kickoff to Deals for Days is what we're calling it, and so.
Any hints?
A lot of electronics, a lot of great electronics. So you'll get a pre-look at it next Wednesday, a week from today, to see what's. And if you're a Walmart Plus member, you get access online a day early. So, yeah. So, but yeah, this weekend we got you covered for your parties, for game time, anything that you want to do. But come get all that candy, and we probably won't have. We probably will sell through a lot of it before the half off. Sadly, because that's always my favorite time, on Monday morning or the day after, it's like, hey, let's go. But
And
So we're
sadly, it
going well.
doesn't last until next Halloween.
no, it doesn't. So, but anyway, but we got you covered, and we've got everything for your fall stuff. Thanks, and we already have got Christmas stuff coming in. So
Yes.
you're excited about
My
that.
wife has already been to the lawn and garden area.
Yes, I know. That's yeah.
Yeah.
She yeah. And we got a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, so for this weekend for Halloween and stuff, parties, get-togethers, costumes, everything, candy. We're good to go. But like I said, next Friday the 5th, that's going to be a biggie for us. We're excited about that.
I'm looking forward to that. Real quick, here's somebody's come up with a formula that of how many fun-sized pieces of candy you can eat before it would be a lethal dose of sugar. And there is I guess there's such a thing as a lethal dose of sugar. So I don't think anybody's going to do this, but for a 180-pound person, it says 5.4 pounds of straight sugar would be lethal.
Wow.
And that you would have to eat 262 pieces of fun-sized candy, or 1,627 pieces of candy corn. And the formula they use is to take your body weight, multiply that by 13.5, divide by 9.3 grams, which is the average amount of sugar in a fun-sized candy bar, and that will give you how many. Look at the go by candy.
The edge there. So, and we have a tradition. So, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Mine probably goes to Hershey's.
Okay, playing it safe there.
I like Milky Way.
Playing it really safe there.
Anything Reese's. Reese's Pieces,
Yeah, see,
Reese's Cups.
I knew she was like my favorite.
She was awesome. Okay, what's yours, Greg?
Probably anything in a wrapper.
I'm with you on that. Reese's are right up there, but there's
Reese's,
so much.
You can't beat Snickers.
Yeah.
Milky Way, Three Musketeers, Tootsie Rolls is a favorite.
Oh yeah. The salted caramel Milky Way. Have you had that?
Yes, that's really good.
Pretty
Clark
good.
bars were like Butterfingers are good. I've never been a zero. Becky likes the zeros, but and then Starburst, the red Starburst and Skittles. Yeah.
I like peanut butter M&Ms. The Reese's though, but in the Reese's you got to get the shapes. Those always have a better peanut butter ratio in those. But yeah, so I'm not a huge Butterfinger fan because I like the original recipe better. The newer one is
I
not
haven't
as good.
I've not tried. I don't know. Is it?
It's good in Blizzard.
What's the difference?
I think it has less peanut butter in it, and it's just a little stickier to me. But maybe that's so much different. Brutus, I give it to Brutus. He'll eat that. Yeah, there you go. But yeah. So anyway, so that's a tradition. So yeah, we got in.
They think you guys talked, or Becky talked. They had a survey that showed different candy by state, but she's a big fan of peanut M&Ms. She only eats certain colors, and then I eat the rest.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with her. Peanut M&Ms are my favorite, but the peanut butter M&Ms are my favorite.
I got in trouble the other day because she was craving peanut M&Ms, so I went over to get some, and they were out, and so I got a yellow bag, which I thought was peanut M&Ms, but it was actually, I think it was a mix that had some other stuff in it.
So epic fail, right? It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Yeah.
Even though it's just the yellow bag, you gotta read it.
You gotta pay attention. Yeah, you gotta pay attention.
But anyway, Brad, let's thank our sponsor.
All right, we've got Walmart, Meadowview, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Kentucky Cat and Cord Recycling, Dr. Blackside Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, and Celebrity Home Loans.
All right, and they'll be on tomorrow, and they've got the information of what they'll be talking about. We'll post that up on Facebook today. But you can go back and listen on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for this morning show, and you can listen live on the radio and also on those platforms on social media. And then tonight we have Coach's Corner. We'll be talking to the three coaches and looking ahead at the sectional games for Salem and West Washington. We hope they have great luck. Salem's coach Blair Thompson has got the
conservative, heterosexual, gun-toting, football-loving, evangelical Christian white men. In other words, the two most dangerous men in America.
6 minutes past the hour.
The Rick and Bubba Show. Phones start the hour at 866. We be big. Speedy, the real Greg Burgess, Helmsy, Eddie Van Adler, all here today. And welcome back, the freak himself, Bill Bubba Bussy. What's up, Freak?
Great, glad to be here and just getting my freak on over here, and thank y'all for joining.
Is that okay to say that? I don't think so. Do you remember the Princess Bride and when the guy kept saying,
No, not
here's the
really.
word, he looks, he goes, I did not mean this mean But anyway, that line is always on me. To the phones we go to get the hour started.
I think before you get to that, you have to look through the comedy of me calling myself a freak.
Yeah, right. Let's just land there. Sean in Anniston, Alabama, a fellow Calhoun Countyan. Sean, go ahead.
Hey guys,
Hey, buddy.
just wanted to see if I could offer a little bit of help for you with the fire alarm system. This morning I work on these things and inspect them, and all these panels come with a way to be able to disable the audio part of it at the main control panel.
Yeah, it seems
How
like,
close are you?
because every alarm that I've ever dealt with, when it goes off and we identify why it went off, you just turn it off. This one has not had that history.
And you guys sound like you already, I've been trying to call you guys since the 6 o'clock after the last 2 hours, but couldn't get anybody to answer the phone, but because I knew what the problem was. You said they tried to reset it, but all that's going to do when it resets is the alarm is still there, it's going to start going off again.
Right, yeah.
What you got to do is you got to go to the main panel. There should be a button that says acknowledge. You push that button that says I'm acknowledging there's a problem. And then there's another button that says silent. When you push that button, the audio part stops, but the lights continue to flash.
Well, Sean, see, I know that seems logical.
It really
And-
does.
And I'm
Extremely
hearing,
logical.
I'm hearing what you say, and I'm going, yeah.
I hear the
But-
words that are